Hi, I'm John, and this is Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black figure. But John, didn't you already use this for a Gohan Black figure? Well, after making him in his regular form last time, I received a few requests to make him Rose. Okay, I get it. This is where this Gohan Beast figure will come in handy. Before I get started, I wanted to thank Gallery for being today's sponsor, providing their GTS 06 all-in-one airbrush kit that I'll be using today. It's a great affordable option for beginners like me, and features strong performance in a compact size. It offers 7 pressure levels from 15 to 27 psi, making it flexible for base coating and some detail work. I'll be using it in today's video extensively, so keep watching and check out the GTS 06 airbrush in the links below in the description, and use my codes John on Gallery.com and John's Hobby on Amazon to save 10% on your order. Thanks again to Gallery, and thank you all for watching. Make sure you do all the good stuff, and let's take these guys apart. Just like last time, this Goku Black figure's neck is attached to the head itself, so I'll have to make a new neck for him. I pulled out the drill, drilled some holes on both ends, cut some armature wire, and used it to position where I wanted the neck to be. Then I used some epoxy sculpt to make a baseline peg, and once that all cured, I sculpted in the actual neck, making sure it lined up with his turtleneck. While I was working on the head, I noticed that a hair spike melted a bit, most likely from touching the side of the pot while it was cooking. So I cut off the deformed areas, sanded it, and resculpted the hair spike. Next up, since we did the grabby pose last time on his base form, and we have a blasty hand readily available, I did a little switcheroo. The only thing missing here was his time ring, so I sculpted that on too. I also noticed some pretty rough seam lines on the Goku Black body, so I sanded those down and filled them in. I also removed the Bandai logo on the boot to give the figure a little bit extra immersion. And with that out of the way, it's prime time. I wanted to see if I can add some glowy effects to his clothes to make it a little bit more interesting. So I started by adding some purple highlights to his pants and his undershirt. Then I added another layer of highlights of pink only on some of the sharper edges of the clothing folds. Then I blended in all the areas together using a light spray of black over the entire thing. For his overshirt and boots, I used purple again, but this time as a shadow tone. Then I sprayed a layer of gray on top of the shirt to blend it all together. To make his overshirt match with his black clothing a little bit better, I added in some pink and light gray on the clothing folds for another layer of highlights. Speaking of pink, I started with several layers of a mixed pink base coat for his rosé hair color. Then I added a darker shading layer towards the roots of his hair and in between any of the hair spikes, and a lighter shade of pink towards the top of the hair spikes and any protruding edges that I thought might need some highlights. For his obi, I lightly sprayed some purple over the red primer to give it some shadow, but I dry brushed it in red so I can bring out some of the ripping texture of the cloth. Then I went back to the airbrush booth and sprayed a bit of pink on some areas to give it a glow. For his skin, I initially did a base coat of flesh tone using the airbrush, but I thought it looked a little bit too pale, so I decided to hand paint it instead. Next, I decided to do some panel liners before painting anything else, since I'll most likely have to do some touch-ups afterwards. I used brown against his brows and eyes, and pink brown panel liners on his ears, lip, mouth, and hands. Then I used some X20 thinner and a Q-tip to clean everything up. It's sort of tough to see from this angle, but I painted in the base coat of his pupil and the black outline around his eyes to give him a more sinister look. And then cleaned up the line work and filled in the rest of his eyes with white, and then worked on the rest of his pupil, with a lighter shade of gray and to give it a little highlight. Then I cleaned up any messy paint application, and while I was at it, I painted in his neck. Moving on to some final touches, I painted in his time ring, and for the earring, I snipped it off the original Goku Black head, drilled in some holes, cut a piece of armature wire, and used it as a new peg for the earring. Instead of adding it on right away, I touched up the green and gold paint of the earrings and dipped the green area in some UV resin. This will help give it a jewel-like finish. Once I gave some last-minute touch-ups on the boots, I gave the whole figure a matte clear coat to protect the finish. And all that was left to do was to put him back together.
Subarashi. ロゼ。そう。スーパーサイヤ人ロゼ。
Here's the final result.
どうだこの色。美しいだろう?
With each project, I'm slowly getting used to using the airbrush to accomplish new finishes and hope to get even better and more creative with the coloring. I'm open to any tips. Leave them in the comments. I read every one. Also, let me know what you think of the figure. Does the form make sense? Who knows? Do I like it? Yeah. Thanks to Gallery for partnering with me on today's video. If you like my work and want to save 10% on your order, make sure you check the links in the description. And of course, thanks to all my members. Membership to the channel is only $2 a month, where you can catch sneak peeks of my project before they release, and some member-only polls that can help influence the final look of a figure. But most importantly, you'd be supporting me directly. Everything I use in the video is in the description, and while you're here, check out my other videos. Leave a like and a comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is going to drop. Thanks for watching. See you next time.